Let the day melt away. Put your phone down. Let your eyes grow soft and heavy. Imagine cool stone beneath your back, the kind that holds onto the night's chill. A distant fire flickers. Outside, the wind whistles through wooden shutters. Welcome to a very different kind of bedtime. Hey guys, tonight we're diving into why you wouldn't last a day in medieval times. Forget everything anyone told you. This is the real story. And trust me, you probably wouldn't last a day. So before you get too comfortable, hit that like button if you enjoy this kind of deep dive, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Now, dim the lights, maybe grab a snack, and let's jump in. You wake on a mattress that isn't really a mattress at all. It's a rough, flattened sack filled with straw, and something sharp pokes into your back every time you move. There is no pillow, just your arm curled beneath your head, and the wool blanket above you smells faintly of smoke, sweat, and something musty. You're not alone. 2 others share this small bed with you. Their breath is warm and close. One of them shifts in their sleep, pulling part of the blanket away from you. You shiver as the chill creeps in. No one here has ever heard of personal space. Back then, sharing a bed wasn't weird, it was survival. Families, servants, and sometimes even guests bundled together in one frame, chasing warmth on frigid nights. Bedding was precious. Rooms were unheated, and privacy, that was a luxury reserved for kings, and even they didn't always get it. You reach down and scratch your calf. Fleas, probably. Everyone had them. Lice, too. Medieval folks tried to keep clean, but without running water or shampoo, it was an uphill battle. Some wore flea-repelling herbs in little pouches. Most just learned to live with the itch. Your bedroom, if we can call it, that is dark. There's no candle lit, no glowing screen. The only light seeps through cracks in the wooden walls, a faint silvery glow from the moon outside. You can just make out the beams across the ceiling, heavy with cobwebs. A soft sound makes your breath hitch. Something skitters across the stone floor. A rat, maybe 2. They live in the walls, darting through shadows, feeding on crumbs and chamber pots. You try to ignore it. Rats are normal here. Everyone has them, even in castles. The fire in the hearth has long since burned down. A few glowing embers remain, barely enough to warm a hand. It's the servant's job to wake early and light it again, but that won't happen for hours. Until then, the cold will curl into your bones. And speaking of servants, you're probably one of them. Most people weren't knights or princesses. They were stable hands, cooks, seamstresses, or field laborers. The nobility made up only a tiny slice of society. Meat was rare for folks like you. Vegetables were seasonal, and spices, forget it. Even salt had to be rationed carefully, often taxed or controlled by local lords. You can either use that awkwardly in the dark or brave the freezing courtyard, where the outhouse is little more than a wooden plank over a pit. You sigh and lie back down. The blanket's coarse wool scratches your neck. Your breath puffs visibly in the air. You miss your real bed already, with its memory foam and clean sheets and silence. Most medieval people didn't sleep through the night. Instead, they followed a pattern called first sleep and second sleep. You'd sleep a few hours, wake for a bit maybe, to pray or talk, and then drift off again until morning. It wasn't insomnia. You imagine the village beyond roofs of thatch, muddy paths, animals huddled in sheds. Somewhere a rooster crows too early, confused by the moonlight. Suddenly, a cough erupts from the bed across the room. Wet, deep, painful. Illness is everywhere here. You curl tighter under the blanket, whispering a quiet wish not to catch anything. Time passes strangely in the dark. You're never sure if minutes or hours have gone by. Eventually, pale gray light begins to bleed through the cracks in the wooden walls. Morning is coming. You survived the night, but the day won't be much easier. You sit up slowly, your back stiff. The straw mattress has shifted beneath you in the night, and now a knot of it jabs your side. Your neck aches, your feet are cold. You stretch, and the blanket slips from your shoulders with a whisper. Across the room, someone stirs. A servant girl throws on a threadbare shawl and begins to stir the ashes in the hearth. Breakfast will be simple. Pottage and eternal stew that never truly finishes, just keeps getting added to day after day. Maybe some boiled barley. If you're lucky, there'll be a bit of onion or a pinch of dried herbs to give it flavor. You throw on your only tunic. It smells faintly of sweat and livestock. Laundry day was 2 weeks ago, and probably won't come again for 2 more. Soap is rare and homemade, often from ash and animal fat. It works, but barely. Outside, the sun finally crests over the low hills. You can hear others waking now, footsteps, voices, the clang of a bucket against a well. Somewhere, chickens fuss. Another day in the 14th century has begun. You take a breath and instantly regret it. The smell is indescribable. Smoke, manure, human waste, wet dog, old meat. It all blends together into something you can almost taste. You gag quietly. No one else even seems to notice. Your day hasn't even begun, and already you're exhausted, cold, hungry, and maybe just a little itchy. You're wondering how anyone survived this. The truth is, many didn't, but somehow they still laughed, they still danced, they fell in love, raised children, told stories by firelight. Their lives were short, brutal, and often unfair, but they were also filled with stubborn joy. And as the village bell begins to ring, calling you to work, you take one more look at your straw-filled bed. You smile, just slightly. Then you step into the muck and disappear into history. The workday begins before the sun is fully up. There's no snooze button, no weekend break, just the clang of a bell or the croak of a rooster pulling you from your fragile sleep. Your joints creak as you rise. You're already sore from yesterday's labor. There's no breakfast waiting, no toast or eggs, just yesterday's bread, hard as stone, softened in watered ale or thin broth. You chew slowly, your jaw working like a door hinge, grinding each bite into something barely swallow-able. It's not about flavor, it's about survival. You grab your tools, maybe a hoe, a bucket, a wooden rake. If you're a villager, the fields are calling. If you serve in a castle, it's time to clean, scrub, or fetch water. There are no elevators, no shortcuts. Every task is by hand, every effort multiplied by dirt and cold. And that cold, it's biting. Your tunic is thin. Your shoes, if you have any, are little more than stiff leather wraps. Mud seeps into the seams. You try to keep your balance on the path, avoiding the deepest puddles, but you slip anyway. The earth here is unforgiving. You pass the blacksmith's shed, already warm and glowing. Inside, sparks leap like fireflies as iron clangs against anvil. The smell of scorched metal and soot stings your nose. The smith doesn't look up. He's been at it for an hour already. Down the hill, the The baker has begun his day, too. The oven is hot, one of the few warm places in the village. His bread feeds nobles and peasants alike. He hums softly as he shapes the loaves, wiping his flour-dusted brow with the back of his hand. You make your way past him toward the village well. Water is a constant chore. There's no tap to twist. Each drop must be drawn by rope and pulley, then carried in heavy buckets. Your arms already ache just thinking about it. You wait in line behind 2 other villagers, shifting your weight as you cradle your empty pail. Someone coughs, again a rasping, thick sound. You glance at them and notice their pale lips and sunken eyes. Plague, malaria, who knows? There's no test, no cure. Your turn comes. You lower the bucket into the well. The rope strains, frayed from years of use. It creaks as you draw the water up, hand over hand. It's cold, clear, slightly gritty. You try not to think about what might be floating in it. With water in hand, you begin your next task, washing laundry, perhaps, or kneading clay for bricks, maybe carrying stones for the new church wall. The work is endless, and every chore feels like a lifetime on your back. You try not to think about your feet, about the blisters forming, or the spots that went numb from cold. The body adapts. It has to, even when it's exhausted, even when it hurts. Around mid-morning, the sun peeks through the clouds. For a moment, you lift your face to it. Warmth, a rare gift. The rhythm of the day is set not by clocks, but by the position of the sun. It crawls slowly across the sky, a burning reminder of how long you've yet to go. There is no end in sight, just more. As noon approaches, you stop for a brief meal, dinner, they call it, eaten at midday. It's the biggest portion of the day, but still meager. Maybe a crust of bread, a bit of stew, a root vegetable. Your fingers are too cold to notice whether it's warm. You sit by a wall, legs stretched out, sharing food with others. Laughter bubbles up, even now. For a second, you forget the pain in your hands. You forget the fleas and the mud and the thin soup. You just breathe. Then it's back to work. Afternoon in the fields means bending over rows of earth, planting seeds or yanking weeds. Your back is tight. Somewhere nearby, someone sings a soft chant in the old tongue handed down from mother to daughter. The melody is thin but steady. It keeps time better than any hourglass. It comforts you. Later in the day, you pass the village healer's hut. The door is half open. Inside, bundles of herbs hang from the ceiling, their scent earthy and strange. The healer mutters a prayer while grinding dried nettle into powder. Medicine here is ritual as much as remedy. Charms, blessings, boiled roots. Some help, some don't, but hope is often stronger than fact. You watch silently, then move on. By dusk, your muscles tremble, your fingers are raw. You've earned nothing today but the right to wake and do it all again. Evening mass, you step inside, if only to feel warmth from the thick stone walls. Candles flicker along the altar. The air smells of tallow and incense. People bow their heads, murmuring Latin they don't understand. You do the same, not because you believe in every word, but because routine is a comfort. Structure is peace. And maybe, just maybe, someone up there is listening. After Mass, you trudge home. Smoke rises from chimneys. A dog barks. A horse snorts in the dark. Children chase fireflies through the long grass. Somewhere, a flute plays, badly but cheerfully. Inside, the hearth crackles again. The pottage is reheated for supper. You dip a crust into the thick, salty mess, chewing slowly, your eyes half closed. It's not delicious, but it's warm. You sit near the fire, wrapped in the same blanket from last night. The lice are still there. The itch returns, but so does the calm, the rhythm of flame, the hush of quiet conversation. Someone tells a story about a knight, or a dragon, or a great famine. The details don't matter. The tone does. Slow, gentle, hypnotic. You drift with the words, like smoke rising to the rafters. And now the room darkens. The fire dims. You lie down once more in your straw bed. The weight of the day settles into your bones. Someone beside you snores already. You stare at the ceiling. Listen to the rats above. Feel the fire's warmth fade from your feet. Your hands are still sore. Your stomach still rumbles. But your eyes are growing heavy. Outside, the stars emerge, one by one. The moon watches from behind a cloud. And in that quiet, in that ache, there is rest. Strange, sweet, ancient rest. You made it through one day. Not everyone did. And tomorrow you'll try again. But tonight you sleep like a medieval villager. And if you dream, may it be of bread and summer and soft hay. The candle by your bed flickers once more before sputtering out. A soft hush settles in the room. The air feels colder now, more alive. You wrap the blanket tighter and close your eyes. In the darkness, your mind drifts back to midday fields of barley shimmering under a gray sky, calloused hands pressing seeds into earth, and the smell of fresh turned soil rising in the air. Remember the moment when the wind found your face, warm sun splashed across your cheeks, and for a heartbeat, all the ache faded away. That memory brings a small smile. In this shadowed chamber, you can almost feel it again. The sun's gentle weight, the soil's promise of harvest, and a world beyond these walls. You shift as something skitters above. A spider, maybe, or a moth catching fire in the candlelight. You're calm. You've learned to share space with creatures, small and still. Sleep comes in waves here. A slow drift, a sudden jerk, awake, then drift again. Don't fight it. Let it come. Dreams are weird in this world, not full of unicorns or fireworks. More like whispers of what's possible, finding warmth in the cold, laughter in hardship. Your breath is steady now, your heartbeat slow. Outside, a distant church bell chimes midnight. Some think it wards away evil spirits. You liked that idea. Bells tolling, stone walls listening, you lying here among strangers, somehow feeling less alone. Time stretches. You're not sure how long you've been awake. Minutes, hours, it doesn't matter. You remember dinners by firelight, steam rising from bowls of pottage, and the comforting crackle of embers. That sound still lingers in your ears. Tonight, it soothes you. A bridge between past and present. A murmur of stories shared across centuries, and you breathing with them. Your back no longer aches as sharply. Your feet aren't quite frozen. Your body remembers something older than comfort. It remembers endurance, resilience. You imagine the next dawn, a new round of cold work and chores. But for now, here in the dark, you rest. The rats are silent now. The cold wind quieted. Even your breath seems softer. You sink deeper into straw and wool. In a world this bare, moments of peace feel sacred. A hand pressed to burning coal, a familiar tune, a song for sleepers and dreamers. You hum it quietly, a lullaby of home, though you've never heard it before. It drifts across the pale air, calm and warm. Your eyes are closed. The story fades. You're not exactly in your bed, but you're safe. You think, I made it. Through one night, through one cold, through one day. Sleep now. Let the straw cradle you. Let the cold air rock you. Let the silence hold you. When morning comes, you'll wake a new day. More challenges, but also light, bread, laughter, but not yet. Not yet tonight. The early morning chill seeps through the walls. There's no sunrise, alarmingly aching limbs, the murmur of shifting bodies, and the far-off clank of a bucket dropping into the village well. The blanket around you has slipped to your waist, and cold air nips at your chest. A new day in the medieval world begins, not with excitement, but with survival. You sit up, your back, stiff neck sore, and every joint reluctant to move. Your straw mattress rustles beneath you, releasing a faint scent of hay, dust, and something else, something musky and old. A dry, rattling sound that echoes in the stillness. Your bedroom is just a corner of a longhouse, shared with family or strangers alike. Instead, you run your fingers through your hair, trying to flatten the wild tufts. You scratch your arm absent-mindedly. You wrap your cloak around your shoulders, thin wool, with a few holes, but better than nothing. Outside, the sun is just beginning to bleed through the mist. No warm pastry waiting on a plate. Breakfast is yesterday's crust, soaked again in ale or thin broth. No butter, no fruit, just substance. You chew slowly, savoring the silence. A child's cry cuts through the morning haze. The faint smell of dung and smoke wafts in from the street. You step outside. The mud grabs your shoes with each step. Your first task is water. You carry your empty bucket to the well, passing neighbors doing the same. At the well, you pull the rope hand over hand. The wood creaks, the bucket drips, your shoulders strain. When it finally reaches the top, you spill a bit on your feet. You carry it home. With the fire rekindled, you rinse your face with the coldest splash imaginable. It stings you awake, always to work. If you're a farmer, you head to the fields. If a servant, to the manor. If you craft shoes, candles, barrels, your hands will soon be blackened by wax or glue or ash. Work is repetitive. You find rhythm in labor, the pull of weeds, the swing of a scythe, the shaping of wood. Each motion has been done 1,000 times before. The sun rises higher, casting gold across thatched roofs. You pass it and inhale deeply, even just from smell. If you're lucky, someone tosses you a heel, hard on the outside, soft in the center. You thank them with your eyes. You wipe your brow and take a sip from a shared skin of ale. Too many sicknesses wait in the village well. Even children drink ale here. Thin, bitter, but safer than death. Nearby, someone sings an old rhyme about winter, wolves, and the moon. Their voice is rough but kind. It floats in the breeze like a spell. Your body begs for rest, but there's more to do, always more. This afternoon, it's thatching a leaking roof, or mending torn wool, or maybe digging a trench around the livestock pen to keep the pigs from escaping again. The pigs, stubborn and squealing, are smarter than they look, and mean. One of them bit your cousin last week, took a toe, just like that. By late afternoon, your stomach growls again. You try to ignore it. Dinner is hours, away more stew, if you're lucky. More broth, if you're not. You scratch at your collar. Something's crawling beneath your shirt again. You pretend not to notice. Everyone pretends. The sky starts to change from gray to golden, then pink. You pause at the edge of the woods, breathing deep. The trees sway gently. You swear they whisper. Birds begin to settle. Crickets start their song. Even the pigs quiet down. You walk back home, tired, dirty, alive. Smoke curls up from chimneys. The soft glow of firelight beckons. Inside, someone stirs the pot over the hearth. It smells of onion and salt and something faintly smoky. You sit by the fire, stretching out your aching legs. The warmth licks your skin. You're too tired to talk, but someone tells a story anyway. About a knight who tried to fight death with a wooden spoon. About a monk who drank all the communion wine and vanished. You laugh, not loudly, but enough. You eat slowly, every bite a gift. Your stomach stops grumbling. For now, the flames dance in the hearth. A dog snores near your feet. You feel something shift inside. Not hunger, not pain, but calm. The day is done. The world winds down. You lie down on your straw pallet, pulling the itchy blanket over your shoulders. The cold returns, but it feels distant now, like a memory. You hear a mouse scurry past. You don't even flinch. The fire dies lower, the room dims, and in that gentle darkness, you let go. In the quiet, every sound is sharper. You hear the creak of roof timbers settling in the cold, the distant howl of a dog or maybe a wolf fakoing across the darkened fields. Someone nearby snores with the weight of exhaustion, their breath rasping like a slow saw through wood. You turn over, adjusting your limbs until they find a position that feels, if not painless, at least numb. You can still smell smoke on your clothes. You can still taste salt on your tongue. Somehow, even these little discomforts ground you. They remind you you're still alive, still surviving in a world that never promised comfort, only another day. You think of the people who came before you, generations, who slept in this same village, beneath these same beams. A woman who gave birth in this room, a boy who caught fever in winter and never made it to spring. A father who worked the land until his hands grew gnarled as roots. Their stories have faded, but their presence lingers, woven into the creases of the walls and the floorboards you now lie upon. You are not alone here. The past lives quietly all around you, never speaking loudly, just whispering when the room grows still. Outside, the wind begins to pick up again, gently nudging at the wooden shutters. You imagine it brushing across the trees, rustling the leaves that still cling in midsummer's stubbornness, carrying with it the scent of ash, moss, and damp earth. You picture a world blanketed in fog, soft and endless, swallowing the edges of the village and muffling all the hard sounds of the day. In this moment, the wind is a lullaby, a breath against the skin of the world, a reminder that life continues gently, even when we sleep. Your mind drifts against to the daily rituals of the village. Tomorrow, the church bells will ring just after sunrise, as they always do. They don't chime for beauty, they chime for order, for work, for penance, for the illusion of time passing in an age when time doesn't belong to you. The blacksmith will start early, hammering at iron with the rhythmic force of certainty. The baker will already have his dough rising in the coals. Children will sweep the dirt paths. Chickens will scatter and squawk. And you will rise again, aching and half asleep, to play your part. But not now. Now you are warm, in a way. Your breath has slowed. The darkness no longer feels like a threat, but a soft barrier between you and tomorrow's burden. It invites you to sink deeper, past memory, past discomfort, into that quiet place where thought becomes fog and sensation melts like snow. Sleep isn't just a need, here it's a blessing. It's escape. It's the one time you are allowed to drift, untethered. You wonder if nobles sleep better than this. On beds stuffed with feathers, under layers of furs and velvet. But then again, you've heard stories. They still get lice. They still freeze when the wind howls. And they still fear death with the same tight breath that you do. Maybe no one in this world truly sleeps easy. Maybe that's something invented much later. For now, you take what you can, this scrap of straw, this worn wool blanket, this moment of stillness between exhaustion and waking. The fire finally gives its last sigh and settles into coals. The room dims to a dull gray. You pull the covers up to your chin. You listen to silence, to breath, to the heartbeats of strangers nearby who are also fighting off dreams or drifting into them. You feel the floor beneath you. You feel the weight of centuries above you. And you feel, perhaps for the first time today, that you've made it. One more day survived. One more night endured. And in this strange, cold, uncomfortable world, that's everything. Sleep doesn't come quickly, here it creeps. Slow as moss, heavy as fog. It waits until your breathing slows, until your body gives up its last complaints, until your mind releases its grip on the day. And then you slip into it, quietly, like falling into a still lake beneath the stars. There are no alarms here, no screens, no blue light to trick your brain. Only the rhythm of your own heart, the beat of the fire's final hiss, the occasional cough or shift of someone lying nearby. Sleep is communal, yet deeply private, an escape that belongs only to you. Your dreams tonight are strange, but familiar. You walk through the village again, but the air is different, golden and thick, like honey. The huts are glowing from within. A deer watches you from the edge of the forest. It bows its head, as if in greeting, then vanishes without a sound. You pass the church, its tall wooden door half open. Candles flicker from within, but no voices, no priests, just silence and the faint scent of incense and rain-soaked stone. You feel drawn to it, but your feet carry you elsewhere, past the smithy, where no fire burns, and past the fields, where nothing grows. The moon above is full, but not white, it's red. A harvest moon, the kind villagers whisper about, the kind that makes babies come early and animals restless. You hear music now, not the kind you know, no lute, no drum. It's soft, distant, voices maybe, singing in a language you don't understand, high and lilting, like wind over ice. The dream shifts. You're standing in a castle now, but not as a guest. You're sweeping the cold stone floor. A rat scurries past your foot, bold and fat. A knight stomps by, armor clanking, and doesn't see you at all. You're invisible here, just another shadow behind the tapestries. Outside the windows, torches line the courtyard. A feast is happening below, but you're not invited. You smell roasted goose and honeyed apples. Your stomach twists. A bell tolls, deep and slow. You wake suddenly. It's still night. The room is cold again. Your blanket has shifted, and the fire is just a memory. You don't know what woke you, but your heart is beating harder than it should. For a moment, you forget where you are. You forget who you are. Then, it all returns. Your name, your role, the chores, waiting tomorrow. You sigh and roll over. A dog barks in the distance. then another, then silence again. It's just the wind, or maybe the foxes, or maybe nothing at all. You close your eyes again. Try not to think. Try to float. This time your dream is slower. You're by a river. The water moves thick and brown, like a great beast sleeping in the earth's veins. Someone fishes nearby. They don't speak to you, but they nod in rhythm with the current. You dip your hand in the water. It's cold, so cold it makes your bones ache, but you don't pull away. You let it wash over your skin, taking with it everything: heavy worry, soreness, the gnawing sense that time is passing and you're just surviving, not living. The sky above you is wide. There are stars, but not many, and the ones that do shine seem brighter than anything you remember. You watch them until they blur. Another dream. This time you're younger, a child running through rows of cabbage, feet bare, cheeks red from laughter and wind. Your hands are sticky from plum juice. Someone calls your name, mother maybe, or a sister. You laugh and run faster. No one is chasing you. No one needs to. You're free. You wake again. This time the room is brighter, barely, but enough to know the night is ending. The fire has long gone cold. A thin mist curls along the floorboards. Someone else stirs. A blanket rustles. A sleepy grunt. The day hasn't begun, but it's arriving, and it never asks if you're ready. You sit up slowly. Your back protests. Your legs feel like logs. You stretch your arms and yawn without sound. The chores begin again, but this moment, this quiet moment between sleep and waking, it is yours. And in a world where almost nothing belongs to you, that is something. The first light doesn't come with color. It comes as a gray haze, like breath on glass, softening the edges of the world. You're not fully awake yet, just hovering in that space between dream and duty, where your thoughts wander and time stretches like taffy. A rooster crows, muffled by distance, and dew, another, answers. And just like that, the village begins to stir with a jolt, but with a ripple, the kind of slow, creaky movement you'd expect from old wood and older bones. Your joints ache before you move. That's the first thing you notice. Then comes the stiffness in your neck, your legs, your fingers. Sleep never really soothes anything. Hear it just dulls the edge for a little while. You shift beneath the rough blanket, trying not to disturb the others still sleeping beside you. The straw mattress crunches. There's a faint, sour smell of sweat, damp wool, and something else earthy, like old potatoes or wet bark. It's not pleasant, but it's familiar. You've stopped noticing most days. Today, though, in the quiet of dawn, your senses are sharper. A woman across the room groans softly, pulling her shawl over her face. Another child sniffles in his sleep, then turns over with a whimper. Everyone wants just a few minutes more. Even the sky does its dragging its heels, letting the stars hang on just a little longer before snuffing them out. You sit up, slowly. The cold kisses your skin immediately. Not with cruelty, just indifference. It's always like this in the early hours before the hearths are relit, before the sun lifts itself over the low hills. You pull your outer tunic on, rough linen against rougher skin, and shuffle toward the door, careful not to step on the snoring man at your feet. Outside, the world feels empty and endless. A thin veil of mist coils along the ground, making the houses look like they're floating. The air is wet, but clean. You breathe in through your nose, feeling it chill your throat. Smoke rises from a few chimney-surly risers, lighting the fire for bread or broth. Somewhere nearby, a cow, lowing, soft, sleepy. You step through the mud barefoot, wincing a little at the chill, and make your way toward the communal well. The wooden bucket creaks as you lower it down, the rope groaning under its weight. The splash echoes faintly when it hits the water below. Drawing the bucket up is slow work. Your arms aren't fully awake yet, but you manage. You always do. You dip your hands into the icy water and splash your face. It's like lightning against your cheeks. You suck in a breath through clenched teeth, blinking as the chill settles into your bones. Now you're awake. A girl passes behind you with a basket of firewood balanced on her hip. She doesn't greet, you just nods. Her face is pink from cold and smoke. She disappears into a nearby hut, the door swinging once behind her like a sigh. You carry your bucket back home. Inside, the room is starting to move. Someone stokes the embers in the hearth. A pot is placed above it with a slosh of water and oats. The smell of wet ash begins to fade, replaced by something more comforting. Not delicious, exactly, but warm, familiar. You eat quickly, seated on a stool made from a tree stump. The porridge is bland and sticky, but it fills the space where hunger sat all night like a stone. A pinch of salt makes it tolerable. You're lucky to even have it. After breakfast, it begins. The routine. You help carry water to the field. You scrape waste into the pit. You wipe your hands on your tunic because cloth is too valuable to use. The cold clings to your fingertips. You don't speak much. No one does this early. There's a kind of reverence to mornings here, as if everyone is still partway in the dream world. As the sun rises finally, fully you see it, a thin golden light catching on the frost that rimmed the edges of every roof and stone. It's beautiful, but you don't pause to admire it. Beauty is secondary to labor. You notice it in passing, the way one notices birdsong, or the feel of the sun on their face. Then it's gone. The village is truly awake now. Carts creak by, pulled by oxen. Chickens scatter as a barefoot boy runs past, chased by an older woman with a switch. A merchant trudges through the mud, shouting something about buttons made from bone. A dog sniffs at a dead mouse near the well, then trots off. Disinterested, you keep working. There's always something. If not chores, then maintenance. If not repairs, then preparation. Food doesn't store itself. Walls don't mend themselves. Life doesn't wait for you to rest. Still, there's peace in the rhythm, in the simplicity, in the way your hands remember what to do, even when your mind drifts. You think about what might happen today. Will someone get married? A rare thing, but possible. Will a tanner come through, his hands reeking of piss and lime? Will the reeve collect the tithe again, even though everyone's already given what little they had? Will the priest preach about sin or fire or temptation? Will someone die? That one always lingers, like a shadow at the edge of your vision. Because in this world, someone always does, but not yet. For now, the morning holds, and you keep moving through it, slow and steady, your body aching, your stomach just full enough, your breath misting softly in the air like smoke from a candle just blown out. The sun is higher now, but the warmth never quite arrives. It hangs in the sky like a promise, half kept bright, but distant. The wind shifts, carrying something strange in its breath, a coppery scent, heavy, wrong. People notice, but they don't speak it aloud. In the village, silence is the first sign that something is off. You're in the field, hands covered in dirt, when the bell rings. Not the church bell, the hand bell, small, sharp, sudden. It cuts through the cold air like a blade. You freeze. Everyone does, because that bell, it means illness. Her presence alone says enough. You glance at the boy beside you. His lips are pale. He's shaking. No one runs. That's not how it works. You finish your task in silence. Then you head home, back inside. The air is tight. People are whispering, and someone's crying quietly behind a partition of cloth. You sit down on the floor, unsure whether to ask what happened. No one answers. You already know. It's not the plague, not yet, but it's something. And in the Middle Ages, something was all it took. You remember stories. You've heard them whispered by firelight. Tales of the sweating sickness, of cursed wells, of demons hiding in the blood. Some blame the Jews, others the stars, or sin, or spoiled food. But deep down, everyone knows the truth. Nobody knows anything. The healer returns before midday. She enters your home and walks slowly to the sick boy in the corner. He's no one special, just a neighbor's child. But today, he's the center of everything. She places a damp cloth on his forehead, mutters a Latin prayer, one she half remembers from a priest's sermon 5 winters ago. She lays leeches along his stomach, their shiny black bodies pulsing like wet worms. They writhe, attach. She does not flinch. His mother sobs into her hands. You step outside again. The air tastes of smoke and rosemary. Down by the woods, an old woman burns feathers in a clay bowl, murmuring names to the trees. You know her. She sells love potions and willow bark. They call her a hedge witch when they're being kind. But today, no one mocks her, because today, fear is stronger than pride. You wander a little farther, away from the whispers, toward the chapel. Inside, it's colder than outside. The stone sucks the warmth from your skin the moment you enter, but the stillness is calming. You light a candle just one and sit on the bench near the back. No one else is here. You look up at the wooden crucifix above the altar, its edges softened by decades of wax smoke. The figure of Christ is thin, tired, and nailed in place. You stare at his eyes. They are carved to look heavenward, but somehow they seem to be watching you. You don't pray, not with words. You just sit and breathe. Let the silence hold you. When you return home, the healer is gone. The boy sleeps. His face is less pale. The leeches lie in a bowl nearby, fat and lazy. One has fallen asleep in its own blood. Everyone says nothing, but they move a little easier now. You eat supper quietly. Just barley stew tonight, with a crust of bread and one shriveled carrot split 6 ways. It's warm, and that's enough. The room smells like broth and sweat and lavender. Someone hums as they stir the coals. No one mentions the bell. Outside, the sky bruises to purple, then black. The stars return, tentative but clear. You lie down once more, your limbs grateful, your thoughts heavy. You listen to the night, an owl, the wind, the faint sound of someone coughing, but not close. You close your eyes and try to forget the bell. The fire has faded to a soft red glow, like the last breath of a dragon dying in its cave. The air inside the home is heavy and warm, close to still. Even the wind outside has quieted, as if the whole world agreed to sleep at once. The silence afterward is thick. You lie on your side, a scratchy wool blanket pulled over your shoulder. Around you, others are already lost to sleep. Their breaths are slow and uneven, rising and falling like tidewater. But you're still awake, not with worry, not with fear, but with something softer, like curiosity. You stare at the ceiling beams, their edges blurred in the dim amber light of the coals. They creak now and then, like old voices speaking in their sleep. You've heard stories of what happens during the night in villages like this, of visitations, of visions, and of dreams that mean more than they seem. You shift your hand beneath your blanket and feel the straw below, and eventually your eyes begin to drift. And this is when dreams find you. Not like modern dreams with fast images, meaningless symbols, and random sounds. No, medieval dreams are different. They come with weight. They come like letters sent by the divine. You are walking barefoot through a fog-covered meadow. It's neither night nor day, here just silver, soft silver. All around you, the grass is tall, brushing your knees with each step. You hear bells, tiny, distant, like wind chimes made of bone. A figure appears. She wears a veil made of spider silk, and her feet don't touch the earth. You do not run, because in dreams you must never run. Instead, you walk to the tree, slowly, respectfully, as if it were a king on a throne of roots. The birds scatter as you approach, and now you seethe. There's something hanging from a branch, a pouch made of cloth, for protection or for cursing. It depends on who made it. You wake, but not fully, just enough to hear the wind returning, just enough to feel the shift in the room's air, like someone opened a door that doesn't exist. A cold breath moves across your face. You do not open your eyes, because in medieval times, you don't question a midnight visit. You simply wait. Eventually, the warmth returns. The weight of blankets feels heavier. The sounds soften. You drift again, deeper now, beyond symbolism and into shadow. Your next dream is of water, a dark lake, perfectly still. You are standing on its surface, and your reflection looks older than you remember. Its eyes are hollow, but kind. A voice whispers behind you. Dreams are warnings, but not for the future. They remind you of what you've forgotten. You don't turn to see who said it. The voice is familiar, a mother's, a saint's. You wake again, fully. This time, it's morning, just barely. No rooster yet. You look around at the sleeping faces, peaceful, tired. One child murmurs in his sleep nonsense words that sound like names. You wonder what he dreamed of. You rise slowly, not to wake the others, and step outside. The sky is gray again, not ominous, just quiet, like the dreams never ended. And in a way, maybe they didn't. The bell rings again, this time, slower, deeper, almost kind. It's Sunday. Not a word needs to be spoken. Everyone already knows. It's the one day you, Dan T, have to milk the goat or pull weeds from between rows of beets. The one day no iron is struck, no clay is molded, no bread is baked. The air smells different, cleaner, as if even the wind is honoring the silence. You wash your face with cold water from a wooden bowl. It bites, but it wakes you. A rough linen tunic hangs nearby, brushed out for this day alone. No holes, just a few dark patches stitched closed with care. It's as fine as your family owns. Your feet are bare, always are. The ground is soft with early dew. Chickens cluck lowly in the background, but no one feeds them yet. Even the animals wait. You walk with the others through the lane. Mud squelches between your toes. The mist rises gently over the roofs, giving everything a faded, dreamy look. Even the blacksmith, usually loud and angry-eyed, is quiet this morning. He walks with his wife. They don't touch, but their arms nearly do. The chapel appears ahead, half stone, half timber, roof thatched with straw. Ivy climbs its left side. A wooden carving of a lamb sits above the arched doorway, its eyes worn smooth by decades of rain. You pass through the threshold. Immediately, it feels different, cooler, darker, sacred. You find a seat on a low bench, back straight, hands folded. The wood creaks as more villagers enter. No one speaks above a whisper. The priest stands near the altar, robes, grayish-white eyes, tired but calm. He clears his throat softly. Then he begins, not with a sermon, but with song, Gregorian chant, slow, spiraling syllables, sung in Latin. You don't understand the words, but the sound carries through your body like warm wind under water. It doesn't need translation. The songs melt into prayer, the prayer into silence. And then comes the reading, first in Latin, then again in plain speech, so even the smallest child can understand. Today's story is about a man who was swallowed by a great fish. Or maybe it was about temptation. You're not sure. Your mind drifted somewhere in the middle, somewhere soft and warm. You look up at the windows. They aren't stained glass, just simple slits in the stone, with bits of oiled parchment stretched across them. But the light that filters through still glows. And in this light, you see dust floating like little spirits, peaceful, unhurried. The priest ends with a blessing. You cross yourself, as everyone does. And then, slowly, people rise and exit. Back outside, the world is brighter. The sun has broken through the mist. Someone laughs gently. A child runs barefoot through the grass. And even though it's barely midday, there is nothing else you need to do. You walk back home in no rush at all. At the hearth, a pot simmers with parsnips and herbs. The fire smells slightly sweeter. Today someone added dried apple peel to the wood. You eat slowly, without urgency. You speak softly, only when necessary. The day feels longer, in a good way. You sit on the steps, outside, and let your feet warm in the sun. Across the lane, a woman braids her daughter's hair into a crown. A man sharpens a small knife, but not for work, just because it soothes him. No chores, no shouting, no bell. For a moment, it doesn't feel like the medieval world at all. It feels timeless. You lie down in the grass, hands behind your head. The clouds drift lazily above. They remind you of folded cloth. You wonder, briefly, what they're called in Latin. Then you stop wondering and just watch. As the sun sinks low again, people gather to share stories. Not dramatic ones, just small memories, silly jokes, dreams from the night before. You tell yours, the lake, the tooth, the pouch in the tree. An old woman smiles knowingly but says nothing. Later, someone brings out a flute made from bone. Its tune is soft, barely audible above the wind. But that's how music is on a Sunday. No dancing, no loud laughter, just quiet, steady notes, like footsteps in the dark. When the stars come out, you count the first 5 before giving up. You're tired now, but not from work, just from stillness. The rare kind, the kind that makes your bones feel light and your thoughts feel slow. You crawl back onto your sleeping mat. The fire still burns low in the hearth. A cat purrs somewhere near your feet. You close your eyes, and this time, no dreams come. Because on a day like this, there's nothing left to say. You wake to soft rain tapping on the roof, slow and steady, like a memory. It's early spring now. The ground is muddy again. Flowers haven't yet dared to bloom, but something in the air smells hopeful. You pull your tunic tighter around your chest and sit near the hearth, letting your toes stretch toward the warmth. Someone's humming in the other room. Your cousin. She's brushing her hair rare for a day like this, and humming that same old tune she heard at the festival 3 years ago. Something's different, she tells you. They're arriving today. You pause. You know what that means. Not guests, not travelers, not monks or tacksmen, suitors, men from a neighboring village, sons of a cooper and a tanner, both families hoping to join their trades. Their mothers carry embroidered cloths and jars of honey. Their fathers carry promises. And the girls, well, the girls carry nothing but their nerves. You help hang up fresh reeds near the door. The smell of crushed mint fills the small home. Someone sprinkles rosewater on the tabbouleh luxury. But on days like this, appearances matter more than truth. You are not the one being courted, but you might be next. The suitors arrive by midday, boots thick with clay, hair brushed flat with goose fat. One wears a faded blue cloak, his best, though it has a patch on the shoulder. He smiles too quickly. The other doesn't smile at all. There's no music, no fireworks, no hearts fluttering in chests like pigeons. Just a lot of sitting and staring and awkward sips of ale from mismatched cups. You sit beside your cousin and try not to make faces when the conversation stalls. They talk of pigs, then flax, then the price of salt last season. But then one of them looks over, just once, and asks about your cousin's favorite saint. She lights up, not because she has one, but because he asked. Later, they step outside to walk along the edge of the field. No touching, just steps side by side, like pilgrims who aren't allowed to speak too loudly. You watch them from the window. You wonder what it's like to feel something and not be allowed to show it, or worse, to be promised to someone and feel nothing at all. The conversation around the fire that night is quiet. Her parents speak in hushed tones about dowries, trade, and land. No one asks your cousin what she wants, but she smiles anyway, a soft one. Maybe that's all she hoped for, a man who listens, a name she can live with, a future that doesn't feel frightening. You fall asleep wondering about your own future. Who decides who you'll love? Yourself, your family, God. In this world, probably not you. The next day, you walk to the well. On the way back, you pass a girl you know from another farm. She's carrying eggs in a basket and whistling a tune that makes your heart twist a little. She looks up, nods, keeps walking. You don't say a word, but that moment, those 3 seconds, plants something in your chest. And that night, you dream of her. You dream of sun-warmed fields and tiny wildflowers, of her fingers brushing against yours as you reach for the same egg. In the dream, no one is watching. No one asks permission. The world is just yours for a second. You wake up smiling. You tell no one. Because in this time, love is quiet, sometimes secret, sometimes forbidden, sometimes arranged like timber beams fit together by function, not feeling, but still. It exists in glances, in shared bread, in hands brushing shoulders beneath the same cloak during a rainstorm. You lie back down and listen to the fire crackle. Your cousin is asleep beside you, her face soft and peaceful. Tomorrow they'll speak to the priest. The banns will be announced, the match will be made, and life will move forward. Not like a fairy tale, but maybe something softer, something real. The wind is sharp today. It howls low over the hills, curling down through the cracks in the door, lifting the edge of your cloak like a curious hand. You hunch forward and wrap it tighter. The trees are bare now. A late frost has hardened the earth, and every step feels like walking on glass. Inside the cottage, it's quiet but not calm. Someone is sick. You hear it in the cough, dry and shallow, but stubborn. You see it in your mother's eyes, red-rimmed, darting. She dabs the cloth again, pressing it gently to your younger brother's forehead. He hasn't eaten in a day and a half. The fire is lit, but it does little. The room still feels cold, but not in a physical way, in a way that crawls over your skin like spider legs. Like something is watching, waiting. You know what comes next. You've seen it before. First, the neighbors will come with whispers, then the healer. Then if nothing works, the old woman from beyond the woods, the one they don't talk about unless they have to. For now, it's just the healer. She arrives near dusk, bundled in a thick wool shawl, her hands already stained with herbs and soot. Her name is Mistress Ina. She smells like smoke, salt, and vinegar. You don't know how old she is. 40, maybe. 60. Her face is ageless in the way tree bark is. She kneels beside your brother and listens to his breathing. Then she nods slowly and stands. Bad air, she mutters. Too much bile. She pulls a pouch from her belt and begins her work. A small candle is lit and passed over his chest 3 times, in silence. Then she crushes dried horehound between her fingers, mixes it with goat fat, and rubs it into his temples. You watch, frozen. You're not sure if this is medicine or magic, but it's all you've got. That night, he sleeps, restless but alive. You lie on the floor, near the hearth, eyes half open, watching the shadows dance on the ceiling. You whisper a prayer to a saint you barely remember, something about fevers. You hope he hears. Morning comes. The cough is worse. Mistress Ina returns, this time with a small vial of yellow liquid. Your mother hesitates. Ina doesn't explain what it is, just says 2 drops under the tongue. You hold your brother's hand as he swallows. His eyes flutter. His breath slows, then steadies. For a moment, there is peace. But that night, your dreams are strange, heavy, full of color and noise, and voices that sound like birds trying to speak in Latin. When you wake, your mouth is dry. The cottage smells like vinegar and mint. Your brother is sleeping. Better, you think, but not whole. Outside, you hear footsteps in the snow. Slow, deliberate. You rise, heart pounding, and peek through the wooden shutter. The old woman is here. She wasn't called, but somehow she knew. The door creaks before she even touches it. Just a sounder warning. Wood shifting like breath. Your mother stiffens. Mistress Ina stands, but doesn't speak. She steps back into the shadows near the fire, shoulders tense. The old woman enters slowly. No rush, no fear. Her hair is white, so white, not evil, just other. She says nothing at first. She just looks at the boy, at your mother, at the pouch of crushed herbs still lying on the floor. And then she hums a strange tune, not church song, not village folk song. It doesn't belong anywhere you've ever been. And somehow, you know not to interrupt. She kneels. Her fingers are long and thin, shaking slightly as she unties a strip of leather from her wrist. From it, she draws a tiny packet wrapped in bark. She crushes it slowly between her palms and holds it under your brother's nose. He flinches, but breathes, a full, deep inhale. Everyone watches. No one breathes. Then she whispers a phrase. Not English, not Latin. Older. It sounds like a wind through stone. She wraps the mixture in a cloth and ties it around his wrist. Her voice barely rises above a breath. This keeps the soul tied. When the fever tries to pull it loose, your mother tries to speak but can't. The old woman stands. No thanks are offered, none expected. She turns to leave, then pauses, glancing at you, and smiles. Not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly. Then she's gone, back into the mist. Mistress Ina finally exhales and mutters something about the old ways and how she used to be the one people called, but her voice trails off because something has changed. By morning, your brother's fever breaks. He sweats, he shakes, but he wakes, alive. Your mother weeps. Mistress Ina nods. She won't say it was the charm, but she also doesn't remove it. You help carry your brother outside for fresh air. The sun is low, but warm. Birds are finally chirping. You hear the distant clatter of someone chopping wood. Normal sounds, familiar, but nothing feels quite normal anymore. That night, the village is quiet. No one mentions her name. No one dares, but there are small signs. Someone leaves a basket of dried apples near her trail. Another places a smooth river stone in the crook of a tree. These are offerings, not bribes, not bargains, just quiet thanks. The next morning, they are gone. You still think about her, her silence, her strange words, her eyes that saw straight through yours. Part of you wants to ask more, learn more. But part of you knows this knowledge comes with a cost, and in this world, everything costs something. You sit near the hearth again that night. Your brother sleeps deeply. Your mother hums softly as she stirs the pot. The fire crackles. The wind moans against the shutters, but it can't get in. You feel safe again. But you'll never forget the night you looked into the eyes of the old ways, and they looked back. The leaves have changed. Gold, rust, ochre, fallen like forgotten coins across the muddy road. You stand at the edge of the field with your hands tucked deep inside your sleeves. The air smells like damp hay, fresh turned soil, and wood smoke from 50 hearths. Somewhere, a cow moos. A baby cries. A dog barks twice, then goes quiet. It's the last day of harvest. You've survived the year, not unscathed, not unchanged, but here. Your brother stands beside you, a little thinner, but laughing now. His cheeks are pink again. The charm still hangs on his wrist, though the cloth is faded and fraying. He won't let anyone remove it. Even Mistress Ina doesn't argue. You walk together toward the center of the village, where barrels of apples sit beside fresh bread and jugs of ale. Someone's carved a face into a turnip, sticking a candle inside. It glows dimly lopsided, grinning, a joke shared in shadow. There's music, a pipe, a drum, a voice singing something ancient and wordless, old enough to belong to no country, new enough to feel like now. You watch your cousin dance. She's married now only a few weeks. Her husband isn't handsome or clever or rich, but he watches her like she's the fire on a frozen night. And when she stumbles during a turn, he's already reaching to catch her. You smile. You didn't think this world could be beautiful, but it can be. Sometimes, when the work is done, when the fields are full, when no one's bleeding, or begging, or burying their dead, someone offers you a piece of warm bread. You take it. It's soft and heavy in your hands, thick with grain and honey, the kind of bread you save for feast days, the kind of bread you eat slowly. You sit on a low bench near the edge of the square and watch the children play. One of them wears a crown made of woven straw. Another pretends to be a knight, galloping in circles with a wooden sword and a potato sack cape. Their laughter makes you ache a little. You remember being that young, before you knew what real cold felt like, before you knew what it meant to boil water for hours just to stay clean, or what it meant to pray over a fever and not know if your God was listening. But even now, part of you feels stronger, wiser. You know what hunger tastes like, what healing sounds like, what kindness looks like in a world that doesn't owe you any. The sun dips lower. A soft hush falls over the village. Someone lights the first bonfire. Orange flames flicker against the deepening sky, chasing away the chill, painting everyone in gold and copper. Sparks drift up like fireflies, disappearing into the dusk. An elder begins to speak. Not a sermon, not a warning, just a story. A tale passed down from her mother, and her mother before. A story of how the moon once fell in love with a field mouse, how it chased him for centuries across the night sky, leaving starlight where its tears fell. The children giggle, the adults pretend not to. You listen, even though you've heard it before, because sometimes stories are better the second time. You lean back, letting the warmth of the fire soak into your bones. Someone passes you a mug of cider. You sip slowly. It tastes like apples and smoke and quiet. You think about everything you've seen, the brutal mornings, the whispered curses, the ink-stained monks and wandering bards, the mud, the blood, the blessings. All of it. You know now you wouldn't have lasted a day here. Not really, but tonight you've lasted a year. You've lived, and that's enough. Close your eyes now. The fire's burning low. The village is quiet. The fields are resting. You've walked the path of peasants and plague, saints and superstition, weddings and war. You've seen the truth hidden beneath chainmail and fairy tales, and now let it all drift away. The past is sleeping, and so are you. Boring history for sleep. You think your life is hard. Try surviving 14th century village life as a teenager. You wake up to the smell of wet wool and stale onion. Not exactly how the fairy tales start, right? The blanket scratching at your legs was once a grain sack. Your pillow is a folded tunic, shared with 2 siblings. Your little brother's elbow is in your rib. Your older sister's feet are dangerously close to your face. There's no time to groan. The rooster hasn't even crowed, but your mother's already nudging you with the flat side of a spoon. The hearth needs stoking. The goat needs milking. And if you don't fetch the water before the other girls, you'll be stuck with the murky stuff that smells like frog eggs. You pull on your shifts till damp from yesterday's washhand. Shove your hair under a rough linen cap. It itches like nettle, but it's better than lice. You step outside. It's cold. The kind of cold that makes your breath fog and your teeth ache. Your boots, rope-tied scraps of leather wrapped in straw. They're already damp, and you haven't even made it to the well. You walk the familiar muddy path with the same wooden pail you VA carried for 3 winters. Now it's cracked on one side, but if you tilt it just right, it doesn't leak much. You nod to the baker's apprentice. He's already hauling flour sack size, still half shut. You think he smiled? Or maybe he grimaced. Hard to tell in this light. At the well, 2 girls are ahead of you. One's combing her fingers through her braid, hoping the Reeves' son might ride by. The other is crying quietly into her shawl. You don't ask why. Everyone's got something. When it's your turn, you lower the pail into the black water. You listen for the echo, the distant splash, then the grind of the rope as you haul it back up with aching arms. The weight isn't just water, it's expectation, obligation, the invisible load of a life that started before you had a choice. Back home, your mother's making a thin oat porridge. It tastes like wet bark, but it's hot, and that's something. She hands you a scrap of bread crust. You don't ask where the rest went. You know already. Your father gets the biggest piece, then your brother, then the baby, then your mother. You come last, not because they don't love you, just because that's how it is. After breakfast, it's time for wool work, spinning, mostly. The spindle is smooth from years of use, but it still makes your fingers cramp. You twist, pull, twist, pull. The wool squeaks softly in your hands, a rhythm older than language. Outside, the chickens scratch at the frozen ground. Inside, your mother hums an old tune, something sad, something soft. You like that part of the day. The world, for once, not demanding, just spinning. You've been chosen to carry herbs to the midwife's house at the edge of the woods. You know the Wywit's only half a mile. Everyone says she talks to trees, whispers to bees, walks barefoot in the frost. She smelled like smoke and mint, and she looked right through you, like a ghost staring out from under its own skin. You don't want to go, so you tie the herbs into a bundle, wrap them in cloth, and head into the trees. Just the sound of your own boots on frosted leaves and the soft creak of frozen branches. You pass the crooked stump that looks like a bent old man. Then the hollow tree where someone once claimed they saw a fairy or a weasel. But smoke curls from the chimney and the centrosemary moss. Maybe clove greets you like a song you forgot you loved. You knock, and there she is. She sees the bundle in your hands and nods. She presses something into your palm, a small dried flower pressed flat, wrapped in wax paper. For when you're scared, back at the village, smoke curls from chimneys. A cart full of hay squeaks past. Your mother hands you a rag and tells you to wipe the table, and so you do. The flour stays hidden in your apron pocket. You don't know what it means. By the time the sun is halfway across the sky, your hands are already raw. The frost still clings to the edges of the field, sparkling like powdered glass. You're crouched in the garden behind the house, digging through half-frozen soil to pull up crooked leeks and the last of the cabbage. The air smells faintly of iron and old compost. Your sleeves are soaked before you've even finished the first row. Your mother asks you to check the herb bundles hanging from the beams. You untie them carefully: sage, thyme, chamomile. Place each one on a clean cloth by the fire. The chamomile is still fragrant. The thyme crumbles softly in your hands. Everything in this house is reused, repurposed, or returned to the earth. Even the cloth you used to dry your hands once wrapped a newborn. Lunch is nothing more than barley and boiled root vegetables, the same stew you had yesterday and the day before. You chew slowly, savoring the way the warmth spreads through your chest. Your brother shovels it down like he's in a race. Your father doesn't say a word. He just nods once when your mother places the bowl in front of him. That's his version of thank you. After the meal, your task is mending the woolen tunic your little brother tore last week. The tear runs straight across the shoulder. Your fingers, stiff from the cold, struggle to thread the needle. The wool smells faintly of sheep and smoke. You stitch slowly, carefully, hearing your mother's voice behind you murmuring instructions she's repeated 1,000 times. You pretend not to be annoyed. Outside, the wind picks up. It carries the smell of distant smoke and damp leaves and something unexpectedly sweet-roasted chestnuts. You pause, listening. Then you hear it. The clatter of wooden wheels, the soft jingle of a peddler's bell, and children's laughter. The traveling merchant has arrived. You rush to the edge of the road, from a safe distance, of course. He wears a patched cloak with 100 colors and a wide hat tipped to one side. Trinkets dangle from his sleeves, small wooden animals, bits of ribbon, even a silver thimble. The village children crowd around him, wide-eyed, giggling at his little magic tricks and songs. You stay back, arms crossed, pretending not to care. But part of you wants to see more. He opens a small tin box, pulls out a carved hare, and makes it hop across a child's hand with a hidden string. One girl gasps when he offers her a red ribbon. Another boy is given a broken comb. You wonder if he sees you watching. You wonder what he'd give you, if anything. But you'll never find out. You don't move. Later, you're sent back to the cottage to help your mother prepare for the evening. She pulls the last turnips from the storage basket and tosses them into the pot. You stir while she grinds barley with the old stone. The rhythmic scrape of grain echoes like a lullaby. The smell of wood smoke and root vegetables fills the room. It isn't fancy, but it's warm. As the stew simmers, your sister leans in close and whispers gossip she heard earlier. The Reeves' daughter is getting engaged to the baker's son, the one with soft eyes and a crooked smile. You feel your stomach twist. Not jealousy, just a dull ache. You once traded that boy an apple for a story. You were 10, he smiled. You thought it meant something. You finish your bowl in silence, then slip outside to feed the chickens. The coop groans as you open the door. The hens greet you with quiet clucks, their breath visible in the cold. You scatter feed across the straw and watch them peck eagerly. The sky overhead is a heavy gray, streaked with dull pink. One lonely crow circles overhead. You sit on the edge of the coop just for a moment, just to be alone. The wind tickles your face. A thread of hay sticks to your skirt. For a few breaths, the world feels soft. Still, you take the dried flour from your apron pocket and study it again. A gift from the midwife, crumpled but whole, pressed flat and wrapped with care. You still don't know why she gave it to you, but something about it comforts you. It makes you feel seen. You slip it back into your apron, then head inside to help with the washing up. The water is cold, the soap harsh, but you scrub anyway. No one notices your fingers turning red. No one mentions the blister near your thumb. It's just expected. Before bed, your mother checks the baby's cradle. Your father seals the shutters with a bit of wax and string. Your sister braids her hair slowly, humming something you don't recognize. You lie down in the corner again, on your side of the straw mat, and pull the rough blanket over your knees. There's not much warmth left in the fire, but you're used to that. Your brother coughs in his sleep. The baby stirs and then goes quiet. Someone farts. Your sister giggles under her breath, and you smile, just a little. Because even in all the noise and cold and quiet hardship, this is your home, this is your life, and it's not easy, but it's yours. Your eyes begin to close. The wind rattles softly at the door. The hens cluck once and then fall silent. and the darkness wraps gently around the cottage like a thick wool cloak. The hearth crackles softly as night settles over the village. You can hear the gentle snap of burning twigs, like old bones breaking in the dark. The firelight flickers against the rough wooden beams above you, painting shifting shadows that dance along the walls. It smells of smoke and old herbs, lavender, maybe, or sage, something meant to keep away spirits. Everyone has finished their evening chores, and the world is quiet now except for the distant cough of a dog, the rustle of straw, and your father's boots creaking as he adjusts the fire. These are the sounds of home. Then a knock, not sharp, not rushed. The storyteller comes by once a week, when the moon is high and the wind doesn't bite too hard. She never stays long, just long enough to tell something strange and old. Her voice is low, soft, like dry leaves scraping stone. "Mind if I sit?" she says, already lowering herself onto the stool beside the hearth. She doesn't ask for food. She never does, but your sister still slips her half a biscuit. It's tradition. Her fingers trace the rim of her wooden cup as she begins. You're no longer in your cottage. You're somewhere else entirely. The girl in the story was born under a wolf moon, when the river froze solid and the owls refused to fly. She was quiet, strange, and always watching the sky. She asked too many questions, they said. She learned too quickly. She climbed trees barefoot and talked to shadows. People started to whisper. They thought she was cursed, the storyteller says, voice dropping, because she wasn't afraid of the dark. You don't blink. You feel a strange pull in your chest, as if she's speaking not just about the girl, but about you, she goes on. The villagers tried to teach her the right ways. She did it all, but at night she'd sneak out to sit by the edge of the woods, drawing constellations in the dirt with a stick. She believed there was something more, a message in the stars. Then one night, the woman says, she followed a dream. You lean closer, and it said nothing. But when she woke the next day, there was a feather on her pillow, pure white, still warm. The village elders burned it. They warned her never to speak of the woods again, but she did, and the dreams kept coming. You shiver, though the fire is warm. The storyteller leans in. She simply walked away, because she knew she was meant for something else. The room is still. No one speaks. The fire crackles. Even your father doesn't scoff this time. Your eyes stay fixed on the flames, the way they rise and fall like breathing. You imagine yourself in that story, standing in front of the woods, holding a feather, choosing to stay or go. Your mother thanks the woman quietly, offering her a cloth-wrapped roll for the road. She smiles, nods, and steps back into the darkness. No footsteps, no sound, just gone, like she was never here at all. Later, in bed, you lie awake, staring at the wooden beams above you. The story curls around your head like mist. It clings to your hair. Your thoughts feel slippery, shifting. You wonder what it would feel like to dream something that mattered, something more than frost and chores and hunger. You reach into your apron and pull out the dried flower again, just to hold it, just to feel something soft. And you dream not of fields or wool or the Reeves' daughter's wedding, but of feathers, trees, and a girl who wasn't afraid of the dark. The stars are still bright when you wake, not from a sound, but from a feeling, a kind of stillness in the air, like the whole world is holding its breath. You sit up quietly, blanket falling from your shoulders, and listen. Everyone is still asleep, except your mother, who who is sitting by the hearth, already dressed in her cloak. She doesn't say anything at first, just nods toward the door. "The elders going to the woods," she says. "She asked for you." You blink. You, the village elder, is old. Old in the way stones are old, weathered, silent, unmoving. She rarely speaks unless something needs to be remembered or buried. For her to ask for you, it makes your skin prickle. You dress quickly and pull on your boots. The air outside is crisp, tinged with frost. Your breath rises in little clouds as you follow the narrow path toward the trees, guided only by torchlight and the quiet shuffle of the elder's feet ahead. She doesn't look back, only walks, and you follow. Through muddy tracks and crooked hedges, across a shallow stream where the stones are slick with moss. The village fades behind you. All that's left is the rustling of the forest, waking up hulls, returning to nests, crows calling to each other, small feet pattering through the leaves. Eventually, she stops in front of a tree, not just any tree, an enormous ash, wide as a cottage and older than anything you've seen. Its bark is cracked and pale, like ancient skin. Deep in its trunk is a carved spiral, so smooth it glows faintly in the torchlight. Round it are smaller markings, maybe, or names. "This tree," the elder says softly, "remembers what we've forgotten." Her voice is quieter than usual, slower. She places her palm against the bark and closes her eyes. You do the same. It's warm, not just from the sun. It pulses gently, like a slow heartbeat. You feel something rise in your chest. Not fear, not excitement, just knowing, like you've been here before. Like your shadow belongs on this ground. She finally speaks again. "Your grandmother came here," she says, "before the harvest blight. She left something in the roots." You look down. The soil is loose near the base. Without needing to be told, you kneel and begin to dig gently with your hands. The earth is soft, damp, smells of old leaves and time. Your fingers brush something wrapped in cloth. You pull it free. A small pouch, sealed with wax and a piece of red string. Inside, a smooth black stone, a silver button, and a note faded almost to nothing. You can just make out the words. For when she starts to dream, your chest tightens. The elder nods, satisfied. She doesn't explain what it means. She doesn't have to. Not yet. She simply turns and begins the walk back, leaving you to follow again. This time with dirt under your nails and a strange, gentle weight in your pocket. Back at the cottage, the fire has burned down low. Everyone is still asleep. You crawl back into your blanket, slower this time. The pouch rests beside your head on the straw mat. You close your eyes, but your thoughts are loud now, buzzing like bees in spring. You try to push them down. The black stone is smooth as river glass. The button is old, maybe from a soldier's coat, and the note, it was written for you, long before anyone knew your name. Outside, the ash tree waits. The next morning, the sky is heavy with fog. You step outside to fetch water from the well, but something feels off. The village is too quiet even for morning. No clatter of buckets, no rooster call, just the soft crunch of frost under your boots and the distant groan of wood shifting in the cold. As you lean over the stone, well, you notice it etched into the side. A mark, not carved deep, but traced gently in soot or ash. A spiral, like the one on the tree. You stare at it for a long moment. You hadn't seen it before. And when you blink, it's gone. No soot, no sign, just cold stone under your fingers. You return home with the water sloshing gently in the pail. The hearth is crackling again, and the air inside smells like onions, garlic, and wet wool. Your mother is chopping roots, her hands fast and quiet. You hesitate before speaking. "There was a symbol on the well," you say softly. She freezes just for a second, a blink, then continues chopping like you hadn't said anything. "A spiral," you add, "like the tree." Her knife clinks loudly against the wood. She doesn't look up. "We don't speak of the old symbols," she says finally. "They're not for us," but her voice is strained, and you catch the smallest tremor in her hands. You know better than to press, but the silence between you stretches long, like a thread about to snap. You set the pail down and retreat to your corner of the cottage. You feel something shifting around you, like pieces of a puzzle that never used to fit suddenly sliding into place. That afternoon, the Reeves' sun collapses in the square. No warning. One moment he's hauling firewood, the next he's on the ground, limbs shaking, mouth foaming, eyes wide with something you can't name. People scream. The baker's wife makes the sign of the cross. Someone calls for the midwife. She arrives not long after tall Leanne, wrapped in a dark cloak that smells of herbs and smoke. She kneels beside the boy, her hands gentle and steady. You watch from the edge of the crowd as she whispers something over his head, too soft to hear. Then her eyes meet yours, and for a moment it's like she knows. She says nothing, but later that evening there's a knock on your door. She stands there in the fading light, holding a small bundle wrapped in linen. For her, she tells your mother, nodding toward you. She's old enough. Your mother looks like she might protest. Her mouth opens, then closes. She steps aside. The midwife hands you the bundle. "Come see me when the moon is high," she says. "You'll know which one." Then she leaves. Inside the bundle is a dried sprig of rowan, a tiny clay vial filled with dark powder, and a folded note. Not all sickness is illness. Some things are taken, not caught. That night, as the fire fades and your siblings sleep, you lie awake, clutching the rowan in your palm. You don't know what's coming, but it feels like the start of something bigger than you've ever imagined. A story you weren't supposed to hear. A story that's just beginning. It floats above the treetops like a ghostly coin, casting silver light across the fields. The wooden floor creaks beneath your steps, but no one stirs. Your breath catches as you open the door and step into the cool night air. You carry the bundle in your apron pocket. The wind brushes your cheek like a whispered warning, but you keep walking. Past the well, past the Reeves' house. The midwife's cottage sits tucked between two ancient oaks, half swallowed by moss and vines. Her windows are dark, but the door is slightly open, as if she knew you were coming. You push it gently and step inside. The air is thick with the scent of dried herbs and beeswax. Bottles line the shelves. Bones hang from strings. Bundles of lavender, sage, and something darker dangle from the rafters. Her face is calm, unreadable. "You came," she says. You nod. She gestures to the stool beside her. You sit, heart pounding in your ears. The fire crackles softly. Outside, the owls begin to call. "I know you have questions," she says, "and you should." The powder inside sparkles faintly, like ash mixed with tiny stars. "This," she says, "is for protection. Not from illness, but from what rides within it." You blink. "What do you mean?" She leans closer. "There's a sickness spreading through the villages," she whispers. "It rides inside people's fears, their shadows, They're dreams. Your mouth feels dry. You've been having dreams, haven't you? You nod slowly. The tree, you whisper. The feather. The girl who disappeared. She smiles, just barely. They're not dreams, she says. They're memories. Your chest tightens. Mine. No, she says softly. But they've chosen you to carry them. You sit in silence for a long while, staring into the fire. You don't know how to feel afraid, honored, overwhelmed, maybe all of it. The cat hops off its stool and curls up in your lap. Its fur is warm, like freshly spun wool. I'm going to teach you, the midwife says. Enough to know when something's wrong. Enough to see what others ignore. She pauses at the table, then says, because you're still listening. Most people stopped long ago. You stay until the fire burns low and your eyes begin to close. As you drift off to sleep, you hear her whisper a word you don't recognize. Name, maybe. The flames dance in patterns behind your eyes, and the dreams begin again. Morning arrives, not with light, but with birdsong. You wake in the midwife's cottage, the fire long since cooled to coals. The cat has curled beside your legs, purring softly in its sleep. Outside, the trees sway gently in the wind. Everything feels different, familiar, but changed. She gives you tea, something bitter with hints of honey and rosemary. You sip in silence, watching the steam rise, and she says nothing for a long time. It's like she knows you need the quiet more than the answers right now. Then she finally speaks. You're not the same girl who walked into this forest, she says. You've crossed something, a line most never see. You nod, you feel it too. It's not magic, not exactly, not the way the old stories tell it. It's deeper. It's knowing when to listen, when to notice the things others pass by. A thread pulled gently from the edge of the world and handed to you. You return to the village by mid-morning, and something's different. Not the streets, not the cottages, but the way people look at you, quiet, uncertain. They don't know what's changed. They just feel it. Some offer short nods. Others avoid your gaze entirely. Even your mother watches you longer than usual, like you've come home with another face beneath your own. That afternoon, the boy who fell ill begins to recover. His eyes are clear. His breath is steady. The midwife says nothing, but you know something unseen has shifted. You walk to the edge of the forest one last time, where the old ash tree stands. Its bark glows faintly in the sunlight. You run your hand across the spiral carved there. The pouch your grandmother left still hangs around your neck, lighter now, like the weight has been shared with the wind. You don't know what comes next, but you're not afraid anymore, because you've seen the old ways. You've felt the hush of deep woods and the steady pulse of hidden truth. You've carried shadows and returned whole. And when you look back toward the village, the smoke rising from the hearths, the children chasing geese in the lane, it doesn't look smaller, it looks sacred. It looks like home. You walk down the hill slowly, the wind tugging at your cloak, and somewhere, far above the clouds, a raven flies in wide, sweeping circles, watching. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. If you enjoyed this gentle story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what time period you'd like to explore next. This has been Boring History for Sleepwear. Even the mud and mystery of medieval life can carry you gently into dreams. Until next time, sleep well and listen softly.